Well, in my younger life, when I was a musician, it was the total passion. I never thought I'd do anything else.
Hmm.
But as I got a little bit older, I was getting interested in personal growth, spiritual things. And I began to change my perspective on what I was doing. It was sort of a haunting feeling inside that, yeah, I loved it. It was stimulating. It was glamorous. It was, what I had thought I was meant to do, but it was beginning to feel more incomplete. It felt too self-centered. It just felt like it was all about me and not enough about, other people. I didn't feel like I was necessarily going to grow as much as I needed to if I stayed in that one place in my life. And so it was a tough decision to leave music. I mean, life eventually set up scenarios for me to have to make choices, right? Life will do that to you. And I reached a certain point where I realized that I was at a choice point. And I could either stay in the same direction I was going, or I could jump off the cliff and see what life would be like without that. I chose, option two. I'm glad today that I did, but at the time it was a very painful choice to have to make, to leave something that you've been doing since you were very, very young and loved dearly, and do it in the name of pursuing, being a better person and what was next in your life without knowing what that could possibly be. Well, not really. You
Not
know
really.
where he started. He started with a caring intention to see what he could do to help people through these challenging times, right? But music was a part of his life as well, and that's how we met. It was actually through the music business when we were both young people. We did pursue music in the early days of Heartmath, and what we were doing is we were making music that could help people deal with, basically, stress. We just called it stress because that was sort of a generic term, but really music designed to help accelerate people and give them some resilience in the face of what many people go through. So the part B of my music story is that after leaving the music business, after not doing that, and then shifting the focus of music towards making music that could have that kind of benefit and effect, the first record that I produced with Doc spent 52 consecutive weeks on Billboard magazine's music charts. So a charting record, after I got out of the music business. So that's kind of interesting, I think, to see how life comes back around in different ways. Heartmath is a system really consisting of techniques and methods and even technology, all underpinned with scientific research. And it's all designed to help empower people through these changing times. And it's a heart-based system. We research and put out information through training programs and products and all that of helping people activate a part of themselves that we call heart intelligence. And then utilizing that in very practical and pragmatic ways to enjoy life more, to overcome our challenges. And we do that for individuals, and we do it in organizations. So it's a heart-based system consisting of techniques and methods, all supported by science, designed to help people and empower people through these changing times that we're living in right now.
Now, this the mission to because of these changing times, you wanted to find
Absolutely.
these tools.
Yeah, I mean, Doc, and we could see very clearly back then that that things were really ramping up, that speed of change was accelerating, and that it was throwing up a whole lot of opportunity for growth, but also a massive amount of challenge. We saw it as a dimensional shift really taking place in the very fabric of consciousness itself, and it was a big deal. It was a big shift that was happening, and again, a big opportunity. But wow, was it going to create an upside down modality for how the world functions? So we knew that, and as we were pursuing the development of our own heart, one of the characteristics of that would be more care, more compassion, more understanding begins to emerge, and you start seeing life differently, more through that lens. So it was a caring intention, like saying, well, there's a lot of systems out there and a lot of things people can do and try. We're not trying to be the big system or anything like that, not that much of an ambition-driven approach, but can we make a contribution? Can we take what we learn in life and can we put it out in a way that other people can access it? So I think that it was all organic. It took a long time. I mean, there was 15 years of experience and development before we started Heartmath. Because it wasn't ambition driven. I mean, it got to a certain point where it was like, yeah, let's try to put something together and share it. But it wasn't like we planned this all out and we were going to put this big system together and we were going to become authors and speakers and all that. We had no clue about all that. We were just really saying, how can we help? and what can we put together that could be shared? And that's what we did. So now 30 years into Heartmath, this is a long journey, but I'm very proud of what we have accomplished to this point. We have a very large footprint in the world. We're all over the place. And I just got back, for example, from Europe, where I go 2 or 3 times a year to speak, and people from all over Europe show up. And so that's an example of a really big footprint that's out there in the world. And I think the good news on top of all that is that there's no ceiling to this. We're still progressing. We're still coming out with new things. It's still an adventure to me and to all of us here at Heartmath. There's nothing static about it. It doesn't feel like, well, we did that. As a matter of fact, sometimes people will say things to me like, thank you so much, you were, or Heartmath was, such an inspiration to me. And my first reaction to that is, wait a minute, I don't get put in a museum just yet. The was thing is not that cool. How about we are, because we're very current, I think, in what we're trying to accomplish, and continuation of our mission is I think one of the primary benefits that people get from applying Heartmath techniques is the ability to better make emotional choices. Most people feel that the emotions are simply reactions, things that happen to them. But I think what gets missed in that equation is, yeah, they definitely are reactions, but we also have emotional choices. But emotions are hard to guide. They're hard to regulate. We're not about suppressing emotion. We're about transforming them. We're about utilizing the great gift of our emotion and turning it into what it is. It gives us a magnificent connection to existence, to life. So when you become more connected to the intelligence of your heart through the practices and tools and techniques and things that we have, one of the primary benefits is you can see into that more clearly. You understand more about your emotions. You understand what you're really feeling, and you recognize you do have the power to make emotional shifts, to make emotional choices. You don't have to feel sad. You can shift that. You don't have to feel anxious. You can find some calm in the midst of the storm. These are choices that we have the ability to make, and I think one of the primary benefits of Heartmath tools, techniques, and technology, it brings that ability forward. It allows us to see it more clearly and gives us a sense that we can really do that. And I think that's a huge benefit right now during these times that we're living in.
Absolutely. Them?
Yeah, sure. Let me just give you another one that's similar. For example, we have partnerships around the world, and our partners in the Netherlands put together a program for the Dutch police force that was inserted into their resilience-based training. And today they've trained over 40,000 Dutch police officers in Heartmath. So just about every police officer in the entire country of Netherlands has had Heartmath training. Now that's pretty mainstream. And they're finding great benefit in it, especially in reducing the stresses that they experience in a very tough profession, and choices that they're making in the moment that are actually saving conflict. I mean, just amazing stories that they have about how they do pause, how they do consult with the heart, even in the midst of a highly charged situation, and how that mental and emotional clarity kicks in. And they're able to operate in a different way. They actually call it operational readiness, the ability to respond in different ways that are unique because they've put themselves in a different state through Heartmath techniques. In Fortune 500 companies and things like that, well, large healthcare systems, these places that we work, it can be about things like employee retention. In the hospital sector, for example, nurses turn over a lot. It's a very tough profession for nurses, and we have statistically significant changes in the retention rates in hospitals that we work in, and we are not changing pay scale or management structures or any of that. We're just giving people the tools they need to better cope with what they have to go through. And as a result, the desire to leave the job decreases. And these are all documented examples through large case studies and things that we've done showing that these effects are really real. And they represent, I think, the emergence of heart in society. It's what we call social coherence. And in my contribution to our latest book, Heart Intelligence, I wrote a chapter on social coherence, showing that things are coming together, that there is new going on in the world. It's not all bad news. And that a lot of it has to do with qualities associated with the heart, I think, whether they call it a heart or not. A desire for cooperation, a desire to manifest more courage, a desire to show more compassion rather than so much judgment. I mean, these things are happening for people, and I'm observing that, and I also feel like we at Heartmath are contributing to it. Well, at the Soul Summit, I'm going to bring in the element of heart intelligence and show that we all have this magnificent, beautiful power inside each and every one of us. That everybody truly does have a good heart, even though it doesn't look that way at times. And that reconnecting with that part of ourselves can be easier than people might think. And when we do, life rewards us differently. It becomes a different experience entirely. Now, to make that point, I'm going to bring in new understandings about the world, where we are today, where society is today, about the changes and shifts in consciousness that we're going through. I will use science to support what I say by showing some of the new innovations that are happening in science, Heartmath science and others that are recasting heart in a whole new way. And also be able to show that heart is emerging, the qualities of the heart are showing up throughout society. And that if we want to make this shift inside ourselves, to really find that next place in our own consciousness, and to also be co-creators and contributors to making this world a better place, that the qualities of the heart and the intelligence of the heart are essential for that process to unfold. Those are the kind of things that I'm going to share first thing when the Soul Summit starts, and hopefully that'll set the tone for a lot that'll take place throughout this entire amazing weekend we're all going to experience together.
It's
Well, in my keynote speech, I think I'm confident that I can inform and inspire. But in the workshops, when we need to get down to business, that's when I'll be sharing specific tools and techniques that we can use and apply after the summit's over. I mean, we want the summit to be not just something we attended that, wow, that was great, but that carries itself over so that it makes a difference in our life ongoing. It's something that we experience and then use and implement for the rest of our lives. So in the workshop, I'm going to take all that and put it into tools and techniques that we're going to practice. I want it to be a very hands-on experience. I don't want to be the speaker guy in that context. I want to be part of it. I want to be a facilitator. I want to be in the midst of that whole experience. And it is about experience. It's not just about information anymore. No one needs to come to Soul Summit to hear things that I will say. All you have to do is Google me. But what can I bring to it that's an experience that you can't deliver in an online format? That has to be done live. And so the workshop portion of what I'll do will be designed exactly for that, to create an experience based around heart that goes forward into our lives and lasts for a really long time.
this.
There's an energetic transfer that happens between all living systems. And when we're in close proximity, we are exchanging information in so many unseen ways. We're all producing energetic fields, and those energetic fields combined create a much larger energetic field. That combined field then has a major influence over benefiting others on this planet and beyond. And so I think that coming together is something that's important right now. We do so much on our computers. We can communicate in so many different ways, and they're cool too. But nothing seems to supplant the experience that we have when we come together in the same physical location. So coming together at Soul Summit is an opportunity for us to raise our own vibration, to then use the collective field of what happens at Soul Summit, all the people are going to be there, and make a contribution to accelerating the emergence of this new and much better world that I think we all see coming and that we want to have happen. If you want to raise your vibration, here's something to ponder and then try to implement. It will be called compassionate latitude. Everybody knows compassion is good. It's regenerative. It's like an understanding you have of someone else's issue, problem, or situation, walking in someone else's shoes and all that. But you know what? Compassion seems to have a ring around it. It only goes so far, and then it gets to the point where I'm not going to be compassionate for them. Well, right there is where our growth is. So if you really want to grow and raise your vibration, learn to expand that a little bit more, and you do that through having more latitude. Recognizing that people are doing the best they can. That it's not easy to be a human, and it's not easy to be alive at this point in time. So have that extra latitude behind your compassion. If you can manifest that, it will accelerate your vibration tremendously. And in that acceleration, that's where new awareness, new growth, new understanding, and new fulfillment really will come from. So my tip is to ponder and then manifest more compassionate latitude.